pretty much what we thought it would be in terms of being a hard-fought physical football team. From scouting them, they obviously looked that way on film, and it played out that they are that way. And so give certainly their coaching staff and their players a lot of credit in terms of how physical and how hard they are playing. You know, it's not been unusual for us to get behind in games, and obviously we'd like to get that figured out and not have that happen. But with that happening, I think a lot of credit goes to our guys in terms of being able to find a way to come back and make it work. And so they've always had a great mindset when it comes to playing 4 quarters of football, understanding that a game is not won in the first, second, or third quarter, but it's accumulation of plays, and our guys have found a way to get that done.
Questions for Coach Solich?
How much did you guys need as this kick return to really kind of get you started, though?
I think that was big. You know, we were struggling and they weren't, and you know, that puts us right back to 14-7. And the last thing we would have wanted would have been to been pinned deep in our own territory, 3 and out, and have them up 14-0 and have good field position. And the way they were running the ball would have been tough. So that was big.
Coach, I mean, you know, we're 2 games into the max schedule now, and you have talked about how your team is, you know, generally a second half team. Does it still worry you at all that, you know, you guys are struggling in the first half?
Well, yeah, it's, you know, you would like to be able to put 4 quarters of football together and play well right from the start to the very end. We're faced with really good ball clubs in the MAC. I think the MAC is a very even conference, maybe as even as you'll find. And in saying that, you know that's going to be a ball game every time you line up, and so you're not going to have things just go smoothly from start to finish. You know, you'd like to have them go 4 quarters and play great football, but if you're going to pick 2 quarters, probably the third and the fourth quarter are the ones to pick to have the momentum at the end of a ball game. But in saying that, we'll continue to look at how we can maybe try to get off to a little bit better start early on in the game.
What's it like when a team is really? It's one thing to have guys just nickel and diming you down the field throwing the ball, but what's it like when a team is really just handing it off and really just plowing you down the field like they were early on? I would have to think that's... It's
difficult. You know, that's what we like to do, and that's what we want to do. They were able to do that better than we were to us and we were to them today. There's no question about that. I would like to trade them statistics in almost all areas except the turnover margin. So it's very disheartening. And, you know, in all my years of coaching, I've come to understand that if you have a football team that can just run the ball on you, you got problems. And so that's why we've tried to make sure that we've never abandoned the running game and have tried to, you know, be fairly balanced in what we're doing and to keep a good, strong running game. But, you know, we knew it's going to be difficult. You know, they don't have a lineman under 300 pounds. They're physical, they're strong, they have very physical running backs, so it's not going to be an easy task to get them stopped. But in saying that, we gave up too many points today.
How much of the defensive struggles last week against the pass, this week against the runner, tied into your injury situation right now with guys out and guys dinged up and maybe not playing at 100%? Yeah,
well, we're as bad as we've been since I've been here, and this staff has been here in the 8 years, as far as injuries of guys playing hurt, and then guys taken out of the season. And so, you know, we probably lost Jordan Thompson today for the rest of the season. And it just seems to have been happening to us game after game. You know, our 3 top corners going into fall camp. We came out of fall camp with not having those 3 guys. Gerald tried to play today but wasn't able to play. So really, we have 3 safeties that rotate. 2 of those 3 were out of this ball game, with Xavier being out and maybe for an extended period of time. So we're really operating with a secondary that going in we thought was going to be the strongest secondary we have had in those years. To now, you know, we're we're playing with young guys, and they're learning on the run, and so that's been a difficult situation. You know, Tremaine Scott was taken out of the season early on as a defensive end for us, and the list just goes on, and that's kind of football. But this one's been a little too much, and we need to have that stop, or at least balance out a little bit. We're only halfway through a season, and we're banged up.
The problem in the secondary, does that give you pause considering what's coming up the next couple of weeks?
No question. You know, we're going to be facing two really good throwing teams, and they're putting up a lot of yardage, putting up points, and so there's that concern. In saying that, though, you know, we got some pretty good expectations for these guys. We've got more depth in our program than we've ever had before, and I think that depth is allowing us to continue to win football games, and allowing us to not be on a shelf here in terms of how it's all working, and so that part of it is great to see. If this would have happened to us 3, 4, 5 years ago, it'd have been we wouldn't be 6-0.
Some of that depth Bakari Bussey had, career game all the way around. Can you speak a little bit on what made him tick today?
Well, you know, Bakari has always had the potential, and he's shown flashes of that. I think he's starting to put complete games together, and he's starting to get a lot of confidence in himself, and so he's on a really good roll right now, and we need to have that. You know, Dante Foster wasn't able to play today. Murillo had a season-ending injury. Our two top receivers coming back, and so guys that didn't have a lot of experience had to step up. Tyler Michelle caught a big play. Bakari, I don't know how many catches he had, but 7, 8, what? 8. And so, you know, you're talking about a very good performance there. So he should have a great deal of confidence now, and hopefully he'll continue to have those kind of games. He's a big physical receiver. He should have those kind of games.
Coach, you got Akron next week, and you got a couple of pass-heavy teams coming up. How do you see your team preparing for those next two offenses, knowing that you just played a very run-heavy team in Buffalo, and they can rack up the yards? What are you guys going to do this week to get ready for the next couple games?
Well, obviously, in being concerned about the passing game, you can go overboard here, and you can say all we got to do is stop the passing game. But I know a little bit better than that. I know that we cannot let we cannot let Akron get a running game going. If we do that, then they're two-dimensional, and we've got problems. They're going to complete passes. They're going to get yards. We just don't want those passes completed and those yards turned into touchdowns and points. So we'll work at that some, and hopefully be able to slow them down a little bit. But they're very good at throwing the football.
Going back to the kickoff return, was it nice to see you guys bust one? I know that's something you guys work hard at, and the production really hadn't been there through the first 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Is that a matter of the blocking scheme coming together?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've showed improvement in the last week in terms of in practice and even last game a little improvement in terms of the kickoff return. It was probably the poorest special teams unit that we were playing with up to this point, and they needed to step up. They needed to improve. They understood that, and I think they went out and did a better job today.
Buffalo was the first team to pull 500 yards on Ohio this season, and their backfield was something that maybe wasn't expected, the variety that they were able to throw and the confusion and whatnot. Maybe it didn't take you guys by surprise, but how impressed were you by what the Bulls had to offer?
Well, they've got a very good scheme, and anytime you have a quarterback that is able to run, and he's 6'3" or so, whatever he is, 225 pounds, and he likes to run. Anytime you have that, you can have all kind of schemes built into your offense. And with Tyler having been banged up, we're a little bit one-dimensional in the running game. We're not running Tyler much, and so obviously that makes it a little bit more difficult for us to maybe have some consistency in the running game. But we knew that going in, that They have very powerful, strong running backs. They have a great offensive line. They have a quarterback that they'll build into the running game. And so it's a very difficult offense to slow down. And we didn't do a very good job of that at times.
Coach, one other thing too, you know, Bo Blankenship coming into this game, he was second in the nation for rushing. And then, you know, we saw Ryan Boyd come in the second half, right in the beginning of the third quarter. What made you make that decision to go to Boykin, you know, early in the third quarter and, you know, for most of the second half?
He played a little bit in the first half. He was in for a couple series, but it just so happened that one series was 3 and out. And we had 2 of the 3 plays were passes. And there was another play that we ended up scoring on when he was in there on the series in the first half. We scored on it early. And so he did not have really many reps. The whole plan going in was to have Bo and Ryan share some of the plays. And I think Coach Alvin had decided on, like, it was either third or fourth series maybe, that he was going to put Ryan in, and we were going to incorporate him into the game a little bit more as the game went on. He's 225 pounds, very, very physical. They don't come any tougher. He's got good feet, and as you saw, good enough speed to keep that from getting caught from behind. So, you know, excellent on that end of it as far as his contribution. You're always worried. You don't want to just throw him out there and give him a lot of reps early on. You're worried about how he's going to take care of the ball. And once, you know, he had a few carries and he was showing that he was taking care of the ball and getting used to the hits again, then you were encouraged to play him more and more. Those 2 are 2 really good running backs that we've gotten. They'll both get playing time.
Given how this game played out, did it feel like a typical win, or did it feel a little less like a typical win, if you know what I mean? Was it fulfilling? There were a lot of penalties, defensive problems, but at the end of the day, does getting the W and move all, you know, render all that moot?
Yeah, well, you know, my personality doesn't allow me to enjoy this kind of a game as much. Too much of a perfectionist, and I want everything to go right, and obviously when it doesn't, you know, it's a little upsetting, and you want to get things corrected right away, and you can't wait to get back to work. But you know, we were able to play well enough to win, and to me, knowing what we face every time we step on the field in the MAC, knowing that we came through a physical non-conference schedule, knowing all the injuries that we've had leading up to this point, I couldn't be more pleased in terms of winning this game and winning the games that we've won, regardless of how we win them. It's a bottom line business. Wins are the bottom line.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, Frank, it was a wrestling match all day, and Boykin broke free right in front of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking when you see that? Or are you looking back for a flag or something? Or?
Well, yeah, there were a lot of flags on both sides. Way too many personal fouls. And that's something we have not had a problem with going into this game. You know, we played 5 games pretty well, but this one got out of control on that end of it, on our part, and I think they had a few that they probably felt was unnecessary and they shouldn't have had, and that probably hurt them. And so when it's not as clean a football game from that end of it, it's tough, but at least it wasn't just all on one side, you know. But it was a physical ball game. We knew that was going to be the case. And sometimes when 2 physical teams match up, there's a little bit more pushing and shoving than what's necessary.
Boykin was saying he got really good blocking on that play.
Oh, yeah.
And it just it was like push and shove all the way along as far as going back and forth, and then he breaks free.
Yeah.
You got to think we finally.
Yeah. There weren't many creases. We didn't have a lot of creases, and you know, to where we had big play opportunities. We had some creases to kind of keep gaining some yards and be in position to move the chains, but we didn't have the big play on the ground, and we weren't getting the medium range play that would allow you to move the chains a little bit better from the running game. So it was great to see a big play like that. And it was great to see him out in the open, coming off a hamstring injury, and be able to run full speed and not have it bother him. So that's good indication that he's back.